You love your cat, that's not in question. But here's something most owners never find out. Some of the kindest things you do for them, the little gestures you think are sweet, are quietly hurting them. Not out of cruelty, out of love that got lost in translation. By the end of this video, you'll want to rethink at least one thing you do every single day. Let's get into it. 1. The saucer of milk. You've seen it 1,000 times. Old films, greeting cards, cozy kitchen scenes. A little cat curled up next to a saucer of warm milk. It feels timeless. It feels tender. And if you've ever poured some out for your own cat, you did it because it seemed like exactly the right thing to do. Here's what's actually happening inside their body when they drink it. Kittens produce an enzyme called lactase, which lets them break down the milk they get from their mother. But as cats grow up, that enzyme production drops off dramatically. Most adult cats become lactose intolerant, not occasionally, not mildly, but as a biological rule. When you give them cow's milk, the undigested lactose sits in their intestines and ferments. That means cramping, bloating, vomiting, and severe diarrhea. And because cow's milk is also high in fat, regular servings contribute directly to obesity and the cascade of health problems that come with it. The image in your head of the happy cat with the milk saucer? That cat is in pain about an hour later. If you want to give them something special to lap up, grab lactose-free cat milk from a pet store, or offer a lickable treat like a churu tube. The gesture stays. The damage doesn't. 2. Keeping their food bowl full around the clock. This one comes from a genuinely beautiful place. You never want your cat to feel hungry. So you keep the dry food topped up, always available, always ready. It feels like abundance. It feels like love. What it's actually doing is quietly dismantling their health. Cats are built to hunt. In the wild, every meal costs them something: energy, strategy, patience. They eat small portions throughout the day because that's what they had to work for. Free feeding strips away the entire hunting framework and replaces it with boredom eating. And boredom eating in cats leads to obesity faster than most owners realize. This isn't a cosmetic issue. Overweight cats suffer from osteoarthritis, feline diabetes, urinary tract disease, and a serious condition called hepatic lipidosis, liver failure triggered by fat metabolism. The lifespan gap between a lean cat and an obese one is significant. Measure their meals 2 to 3 times a day based on what your vet recommends for their size and age. If you want to keep their instincts engaged, scatter some dry food around the house or put a portion into a puzzle feeder. You're not withholding love, you're protecting their life. And if watching these videos is already changing the way you think about your cat, subscribe now. This channel exists for the people who want to understand their cats, not just live with them. 3. Holding them like a human baby. They're so soft. Their belly is right there. And when a cat goes a little limp in your arms, it's tempting to flip them onto their back, cradle them like an infant, and just hold them there. But that position is one of the most stressful places you can put a cat. The belly is the most vulnerable part of a cat's body. Every vital organ is housed there, completely unprotected. When a cat rolls over and shows you their belly, they're displaying trust. But that display is not an invitation to touch. It is not a request to be held. It is a statement of comfort in your presence, and nothing more. When you flip a cat onto their back and restrain them there, you've removed every option they have to protect themselves. Their fight or flight response activates immediately. They feel trapped. And the scratch or bite that usually follows isn't aggression, it's desperation. The right way to hold a cat: one hand under the chest, one hand supporting the hindquarters, letting them rest upright against you so they can still see what's around them. That small adjustment changes the entire experience for them. They go from prey to passenger. 4. Playing with your hands, wiggling your fingers under a blanket, letting a kitten chew on your knuckles, wrestling a little with your hand just out of reach. It's playful. It's easy. It feels like bonding. What you're actually doing is writing a rule into their brain. Human hands are prey. Kitten bites are harmless. An adult cat's bite is not. But more than the physical risk, there's a behavioral one. Every time your hand becomes the toy, you're reinforcing a pattern that will eventually cause problems. With guests, with children, with a vet who reaches out to examine them. The cat isn't being difficult. The cat is doing exactly what they were trained to do. Separate playtime from contact entirely. Wand toys, laser pointers, kicker toys. Anything that puts a prop between your hand and their instinct. And if they do bite during play, go completely still, say ouch, and end the interaction immediately. Biting stops the fun, every time, without exception. That's how they learn. 5. Forcing affection on them. You want to hug them, hold them close, maybe wrap them in a blanket burrito, and keep them there while you watch television. They're squirming a little, but they'll settle down, right? They won't. And the more you override that signal, the more damage it does. Cats are not wired to understand primate affection. Hugging, in the animal world, looks a lot like being caught. Restraining a cat who isn't in the mood doesn't teach them that closeness is safe. It teaches them that closeness is something to escape from. Ignore the tail flicking, the flattened ears, the skin twitching, and you're not just missing their signals. You're eroding their trust in you. Over time, cats who are consistently smothered become withdrawn. They start avoiding the person they once sought out. They develop chronic anxiety that shows up in their behavior, their appetite, and their physical health. There's a better way to ask. Hold your index finger out toward your cat's nose. If they want affection, they'll lean forward and rub their cheek against it. If they look away, they don't. Respect that. The interactions you earn on their terms are worth more than anything you take by force. 6. Giving them regular baths. You want them clean. You want them smelling fresh. And it seems responsible. Good hygiene is good care, right? For cats, this logic almost entirely backfires. Cats are among the most effective self-groomers in the animal kingdom. Their tongues are barbed specifically to clean fur, distribute natural oils, and remove debris. Unless your cat has gotten into something toxic, has a severe parasite infestation, or is a hairless breed like a Sphynx, they don't need a bath. What they need is to not have one. Bathing strips the protective oils from their coat, which their skin depends on. More importantly, their own scent is one of the primary ways they feel secure in their territory. Washing it away leaves them disoriented in their own home. A deeply unsettling experience they have no language to process. And for most cats, the bath itself is a crisis. The water, the restraint, the noise, it registers as a genuine threat. If you want to actively help their grooming, brush them regularly. A good brushing session removes loose fur, prevents matting, reduces hairballs, and is something most cats actively enjoy. That's the real version of this gesture. 7. Letting them roam freely outside. This is the one that feels the most generous. You don't want to confine them. You want them to have a real life, to climb, explore, feel sun and wind, live like an animal is supposed to live. But the numbers on outdoor cats are hard to argue with. Free-roaming outdoor cats have dramatically shorter lifespans than indoor cats, sometimes less than half as long. The risks are constant and compounding. Cars, predators like coyotes and loose dogs, feline leukemia, FIV, parasites, toxic plants, and rat poison that's nearly impossible to trace until it's too late. The world outside your door is not designed with your cat's survival in mind. What you can do is bring the outdoors in. Tall cat trees, window hammocks so they can watch birds and squirrels. What cat people call cat TV. Vertical space to climb, hide, and survey. These things don't feel like nature, but to your cat's brain, they provide the same essential stimulation. If you want them to get real air, a properly fitted harness and leash can make outdoor time an experience you control together. Or look into building a catio, a secure outdoor enclosure that lets them feel the breeze without any of the exposure. The freedom you're imagining for them is real. It just looks different than you pictured. Here's what all 7 of these habits have in common. They come from love. That's what makes them so worth examining. Because loving a cat well doesn't mean doing what feels warm to you. It means learning what actually works for them. The more fluent you become in what your cat needs, the stronger that bond becomes. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. If this changed the way you're thinking about your cat today, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.